after Rowan does that, he doesn't go into hiding like the tone is, it kind of advise him or just offer their help. He goes back to trial. In one of their trials, they need to glean their loved ones. For Citra, we get to see her gleaning. We don't get to see but hear Rowan's gleaning. In Citra's perspective, we see that they chose her little brother that she has to glean, which is cruel, very cruel. And I didn't understand this whole moment. I didn't understand its depth until listening to the audio maybe twice. And my thoughts on this is that, one, the obvious one is that they need to glean someone they love so other gleanings can probably become easier. You've gleaned someone you love. Gleaning a stranger is going to be a lot easier now for you. It's also, if you are able to glean a loved one, then this job, then you are capable of doing this really heavy responsibility job. You're proving that to them. And I think another aspect of this gleaning a loved one is the fact that not only if can you do it, but how do you feel doing it? What would you do if you have to glean a loved one? And it's Citra showing compassion towards her brother because of course it's her little brother, but she gently gleans him, and that shows that Citra has compassion as a Scythe, as a future contender Scythe, that she will continue gleaning others with that same compassion. And I didn't grasp that when I was listening it to the first time. I thought she was just doing it as being the big sister, trying to calm down her little brother before she has to glean him. But it's much more than that. And when we get to Rowan, when we hear Rowan's experience, he had to glean his mother, and he does it without compassion. He literally just shoots her. He shoots her and that's it. He walks out. I don't know if it was intentional for Rowan to do that. He's very smart and he understands situations really, really well. This could possibly be, there's so many things in between the lines, so many guessings here, that did he just glean his mother so distant because he wanted to show that he doesn't care anymore about his family? Did he do it to give Citra the points like he did in the fighting? Did he do it because he truly feels no remorse? Did he do it because he just wants to get it over with? Like, there's so many things in the air between how Citra gleaned her loved one versus Rowan gleaned his loved one. Is Rowan so out of touch now that he just doesn't care about whomever he gleans? And it kind of goes, and this is my thoughts on having Scythe Anastasia versus Scythe whomever Rowan wanted to become as a Scythe. But in my opinion, I feel like Citra would have become the better Scythe. At first, I would think that Rowan will become the better Scythe than Citra because Rowan has great intuition. He has some intuition in him. He's compassionate. He has empathy. He has great morals. He understands the responsibilities. There's not really a family waiting for him, so he can freely travel around and do his job. Like, there's nothing holding him back. To me, he seems like the typical Scythe. And I think he would have been a Scythe Faraday in a way. But like Scythe Faraday has a great reputation that he has amazing accomplishments of being a true good Scythe. And I think that's what Rowan would have done. But when we get to which Scythe will make a difference in the Scythedom, and that would have been Citra. And she proves that in book 2 and 3. And she does it unintentionally as well. It's just who she is. Scythe Anastasia becomes she becomes like an icon didn't really grasp its depth of who will become the better Scythe. And even though Rowan would become a really good Scythe like Scythe Faraday one day, I think Citra deserved to have that Scythe if they were not competing against each other for gleaning each other. If I had to choose one, and if I was the Scythe, I would have chosen, it would have gone to Citra, and she would have been my preferred vote to become a Scythe. And the ending, she does get it, of course. Rowan she congratulates her, and when she becomes Scythe Anastasia, people are questioning, why are you Anastasia? And she's like, we never know what would have become of Anastasia, so I will take on that name and become something. And so she chooses, and that's how she becomes Scythe Anastasia, which I love. I love the name Scythe Anastasia. It's very romantic. Neil Schutzerman, he has such a romantic and artistic mind, and I love it. I love seeing it in moments like this. And when we learn about Scythe Lucifer, I also think that's very artistic and romantic. Scythe Lucifer is considered the opposite of good. Rowan takes up that role, getting rid of a lot of these Scythes who don't deserve the title. Anyways, and I think he's very creative this way of coming up with names and using it in the opposite direction of what they're kind of used for. And that's pretty much concludes the first book of Scythe. I'm glad that everything turned out well with the audiobook. Really enjoyed this book. Out of 5 stars, I give this a 4. And that's just my overall review of Scythe by Neil Schutzerman.